The gross domestic product, also known as GDP, is a measurement of a nation's wealth that includes income, consumption, and the value of the goods and services the nation generates over the course of a year. What makes GDP so popular in exhibiting and comparing wealth is setting the benchmark according to these metrics and creating the same criteria across the board. A useful metric that can provide light on a nation's standard of living is the GDP per capita, which is calculated by dividing national wealth by the total population. The wealth and prosperity of the nation's citizens can frequently be determined by the GDP per capita, which should be high. Here is a list of the top richest nations in the world according to their GDP per person. The population of Luxembourg, 625,978. GDP per person, $140,694. Luxembourg is the richest nation in the world, distinguished by high income levels and a low unemployment rate. While its wealth remains constant, its inflation rate increased to 6.8% in August 2022. The World Economic Forum attributes Luxembourg's high GDP primarily to the enormous number of people who work in this small, landlocked country while living in its bordering Western European neighbors. The developed infrastructure and high labor market values draw investment and clones of the major outside companies. The country made an excellent adjustment after being heavily dependent on the steel and iron industry until it stopped producing profits in the 1970s. Nowadays, Luxembourg benefits from a variety of businesses, primarily from an import-export economy built on financial services and by having one of the most educated workforces in the world. Small and medium-sized businesses have grown, and international firms have increased their demand for highly qualified workers who can speak several languages. The nation also has a modest but thriving agricultural sector. Population of Singapore, 5,850,342 per capita, $131,580. The hard-working and resourceful Singaporeans have managed to make their nation the second richest in the world despite the lack of natural resources on which to base its economy. The economy is fueled by serving as a major worldwide hub for businesses providing financial services. The nation's primary exports include electronics, biotechnology, and chemicals, and the positions in manufacturing, services, transport engineering, and logistics pay highly for its workers. Singapore draws millions of tourists each year by building upscale infrastructure and greatly growing its tourism industry. A very investor-friendly economic environment was also created by the government to attract foreign direct investment. Ireland has a population of 4,937,786 and a GDP per capita of $124,596. Over the past year, Ireland has displaced Qatar as third place. Numerous multi-billion-dollar businesses are continually drawn to Ireland by its low corporate taxes, where they can expand and contribute to the country's GDP and high level of living. Despite high wages, the income per capita is growing more slowly than the GDP as a whole. Others long for the stability of the nation and the steady flow of income from manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism. Metals and food goods, including beer, computers, components, and software, as well as textiles, make up the majority of the nation's exports. Ireland also relies heavily on its tertiary sector, which includes contact centers, law firms, accountancy firms, customer service companies, stockbrokers, and restaurants. Free commerce, an open market, and enticingly low tax rates are desired by foreign companies and business tourists. Population of Qatar, 2,881,053, per capita, $112,789. The once sleeping peninsula off the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia has transformed in the last 20 years from a little fishing sector and nearly no schools to a significant oil-exporting international center. In 1997, Qatar started shipping a lot of natural gas to Spain and Japan, and in the early 2000s, it started shipping more natural gas to other nations. Its GDP increased dramatically from $30 billion to over $200 billion after 15 years and 14 natural gas plants. With reserves of almost 900 trillion cubic feet, Qatar boasts the world's greatest natural gas reserves, surpassing Iran and Russia. This resource accounts for 60% of Qatar's total GDP. It started producing 46,500 barrels per day in 1951 after finding oil in 1939 and natural gas in 1983. The royal family amassed a large portion of the income, with portions also going to Great Britain, the country's dominant nation, even though some of it was utilized to begin modernizing the nation. After becoming independent in 1971, Khalifa bin Hamad overthrew his father and reduced the allowances given to the royal family while increasing spending on social programs, housing, healthcare, education, and pensions. The nation gains large returns through investments in international companies, banks, even the soccer team Paris Saint-Germain and London real estate. Switzerland. 8,654,622 people, $84,658 per person. In Switzerland, one of the happiest and healthiest countries on the planet, people who speak German, French, and Italian coexist harmoniously and successfully for more than 800 years. People continue to visit Switzerland for business or tourism despite its high cost of living, pricey goods and services, and the Swiss franc's extremely high value with a high conversion rate to other currencies. Switzerland is considered highly by investors looking for a secure refuge for extremely lucrative endeavors because of its steady economy and fixed currency value. Investment is attracted by Switzerland's attractive tax rates, and foreign businesses are looking to develop there as well. Population of the United Arab Emirates is 9,890,402. Per capita is $78,255. From the 1770s, when this nation was still known as the Trucial States, until the late 1930s, when pearl diving was a hobby transformed into a sizable source of revenue for the people living in the little villages, the pearl industry predominated in this nation. Dubai and the rest of the nation have moved on to tourism, which keeps investing in itself through continued growth and appeal after being able to create some of the most opulent resorts in the world. After oil was discovered in the late 1950s, residents of Dubai and Abu Dhabi clashed, with the latter winning the oil war and prospering while the former struggled. While Abu Dhabi prospered, Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, never lost faith in the promise of his state. On 1958, he loaned the state tens of billions of dollars to invest in its infrastructure, and by 1960, the state had built its first airport. Norway has a population of 5,421,241 and a per capita income of $77,808. With its excellent educational systems, distinctive social security system, and universal health care, Norway is renowned for having the best standard of living on Earth and ranking first on the Human Development Index. Its raw oil and gas exports drive the economy, and a wealth of reserves, including those for freshwater, minerals, lumber, hydropower, seafood, and hydro, ensures future success. Since the 1970s, oil has been another profitable commodity for Norway. While parents make sure that children understand the value of production at school from an early age, the government invests in providing free education for its citizens. In Norway, staying active at work is a cultural requirement. Without it, people would not enjoy life. The two primary industries are technology and telecoms. With unemployment and poverty rates at 5% and 0.5%, respectively, it is understandable why other countries aspire to Norway's standard of living. Despite the high cost of living in Norway, Norwegians don't mind investing in their country's economy, and their high incomes allow them to spend lavishly abroad. Population of the United States, 331,002,651 GDP per person, $76,027. The United States has the largest economy in the world and a land that is resource-rich, giving it a strong purchasing power. The scale of its economy and the high pace of real GDP growth are unmatched by any other nation, and it supplies its own energy and can profitably export its oil and gas. There are hardly any state-owned businesses, and the legal system shields investors from accountability because it is a market economy with a decentralized political structure. Although these statistics entice brilliant individuals from over the world to try their luck at becoming wealthy, it continues to rank among the top nations where money is not distributed fairly. In America, entrepreneurship is promoted from a young age and is backed by academic curricula and research organizations. In addition, a sophisticated financial structure that promotes entrepreneurial operations has taken the position of equity financing. Nevertheless, the total public debt as of today is $31,000 billion, which is $7,000 billion more than it was before the COVID-19. Population of Brunei, 437,479. GDP per person, $74,953. The little nation of Brunei, located in South Asia, quickly expanded to become one of the richest nations in the world after gaining independence from Britain in 1984. Its sultan controls all aspects of society, including the military and the economy, imposes strict punishment laws, and offers its people free healthcare and education. Over 97% of people in Brunei are literate. Given that the wealth in the country is not divided fairly and a large portion of the population lives in poverty, it may come as a surprise that Brunei is regarded as the second happiest country on the continent after Singapore. However, Brunei's public debt in 2018 was only 2.4% of its GDP, compared to the U.S.'s public debt of 106%. That was for today. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel.